To give you a better understanding of how JavaScript works, let's explain some of the core features of the language. It's worth noting that these features are common to all programming languages. If you master these fundamentals, you will have a head start on coding in other languages too. Variables. Variables are containers that store values. There are three ways to declare a JavaScript variable. variable. The first one is using the var keyword. The second is using the let keyword. And the third is using the const keyword. You start by declaring a variable with the var or the let keyword, followed by the name you give to the variable. The var is less recommended. Dive deeper for the explanation. So if you say let my variable, you just created a variable called my variable, and this variable can be used to store values. Note: a semicolon at the end of a line indicates where a statement ends. It is only required when you need to separate statements on a single line. However, some people believe it's good practice to have semicolons at the end of each statement. There are other rules from when you should and shouldn't use semicolons. For more details, see your guide to semicolons in JavaScript using this link. You can name a variable nearly anything, but there are some strict regulations. If you are unsure, you can check your variable name to see if it's valid. JavaScript is case sensitive. This means if you say my variable with a capital letter V and then you say my variable with a small letter v, those two are different. They are not the same. If you have problems in your code, check the case. For more details about the difference between var and let, use this link. After declaring a variable, you can give it a value. In this example, my variable has the value of Bob. Also, you can do both these operations on the same line. That is, you can declare the variable and then you can give it a value on the same line. This is a simple example of how to do that. Let my variable equal to Bob. You can retrieve the value by calling the variable name. So all you just need is the variable name to retrieve the value. After assigning a value to a variable, you can change it later in the code. That is when you use the let keyword. Let my variable equal to Bob, and then you can decide to change to something else. You just say my variable, that's the name of your variable, and then you say equal to, and then you give it a new value. You can also create many variables in one statement. This is an example of how to do that. The first variable is called person. The value John Doe was assigned to it. Then they use comma to separate it from the second variable called car name equal to review, and then use another comma to separate it from the last variable price, which has the value 200. Note that variables may hold values that have different data types. JavaScript has several data types, some of which are string, numbers, null, and so on. Let's look at string. String is a sequence of text known as a string. A sequence of text. To signify that the value is a string, you enclose it in quotation marks. You enclose it in quotation marks. If you want to identify a string variable, just look for where you have quotation marks. For numbers, numbers don't have quotes around them. So in this first instance, let my variable equals to Bob. You can see that Bob is enclosed in quotation marks. So this is a string variable. In the second example, we said let my variable equals to 10. There are no quotes around this 10, so this is a number variable. Boolean. Boolean is a true or false value type of variable. The words true and false are special keywords that do not need quotation marks. This is an example of how to create a Boolean variable. You say let my variable equal to either true or false. Array. Array is a structure that allows you to store multiple values in a single variable. Yes. So in this example, we say let my variable equal to, you see this what's it called? Square brackets. If you want to identify an array, you just look for where you have square brackets. So this variable is an array. So the values are 1, Bob, Steve, and 10. The first value is a number, the second value is a string, the third value is also a string, and the last value is a number. How can I tell that this is a number and this is a string? The numbers don't have quotes around them, while the strings have quotes around them. To refer to each member of the variable, you call the variable name, which is my variable, and then you add the square brackets. And for array, the index starts from 0. So this index, this value, as this value as the index 0, the next one index 1, the next one index 2, and so on. So to reference this first value, you call the variable name, which is my variable, followed by the square brackets, followed by the index. Objects. Objects can be anything. Everything in JavaScript is an object and can be stored in a variable. Keep this in mind as you learn. So, why do we need variables? Variables are necessary to do anything interested in programming. If values couldn't change, then you couldn't do anything dynamic, like personalize a written message or change an image displayed in an image gallery.